We continue here tonight. It's believed the so-called construction mafia has cost the industry 68 billion rand to date. Government is currently in the process of drafting legislation to address the issue. Let's unpack this further with the South African Forum of Civil Engineering Contractors CEO, Webster Mfebe. Mr. Mfebe, good evening to you. Thank you so much for your time. Not lost on me that you are a South African forum. And of course, the reason why we end up with this crisis in the first place is as a result of some of these groupings that call themselves forums in different parts of South Africa, but end up coming to derail and hijack the work of very legitimate contractors.
Yes, indeed, that is the case, unfortunately, and which is something that needs a united front by all players, especially social partners from business, government, labor, and communities. It's an issue that has been going on for quite some time. We decided as the industry body, which is the South African Forum of Civil Engineering Contractors, to embark on what I refer to as the constructive engagement strategy in engaging the identifiable business forum leaders in order to encourage them to work within the law so that whatever they are claiming on their behalf or on behalf of communities, it is done within the parameters of the law. And that has indeed worked out in terms of reducing these incidents where they started in KZN, which is the epicenter of everything to do with business forums, but it has now got a national footprint. It happens everywhere, and even now in Randburg, if you go up in a construction site, you might see that these people are there, police are called. But the response of the police has been lethargic in the past, so to speak. But that has been rectified by engaging directly with the police at headquarters of the SAPS. They appointed a specific person to deal, a senior police officer. And I want to say that now that the new Deputy National Police Commissioner, who was head of organized crime, General Shadrack Sibia, has been appointed as Deputy National Police Commissioner, I am confident that we will see traction, because in the last interaction with the media where I was present, he reported that over 700 people have been arrested in connection with this phenomenon. But what we need to see demonstrable is prosecutions and people going to jail in orange overalls, so that this serves as a deterrent to others. And this is causing a lot of problems in terms of the depressed economy of the country, because the president has rightfully said that infrastructure investment would lead the country's economic recovery. If there is no, because infrastructure does not build itself, it needs contractors to do so. If there's no construction on the ground, cranes are dangling in the sky and nobody to be employed and drive those projects to fruition, it means that the fiscus does not receive the much needed taxes from economic activity, which taxes go to Omagogo in terms of social development, to security, to the police, to education, and various areas that are having a demand on the fiscus.
Webster, what we see if we take a look at the holistic South African picture is that there's a war against infrastructure in this country. And you can look at different segments of the economy and entities in order to actually prove that statement. We're dealing with a construction mafia that costs this economy 68 billion rand. How do we begin to get ahead of the criminal syndicates that are running these groupings? Because many of the people who talk about their experiences is often quite harrowing. People are held hostage at construction sites. They moved out of there with guns pointed in their faces. Some of the rifles that these individuals are carrying outnumber even what the police can do at a local level. So you as engineers, when you look at this problem, I mean, what's at the heart of it? What's really happening around infrastructure in this country?
Well, unfortunately, construction happens to be a casualty of what stems from lack of access to social justice, to basic services, to failing infrastructure around communities, whereby people get attention only when they damage schools, clinics, only then leaders come up. That becomes an inculcated culture. Then violence becomes a voice, a weapon of the voiceless to get attention. Unfortunately, that has been allowed for quite some time to be deeply entrenched. And now construction is in your face. You see a crane dangling. You see yellow plant there. It becomes an easy target to get around in terms of showing that if you ignore us, we can stop development. Unfortunately, that development has to benefit the very same community from which these are coming from. We need a multidisciplinary strategy. Already, I've said in the past, we've got the so-called district development model. Yeah. Every construction that has to take place in a locality gets permits from the government, from local government. They know ahead of time that so many building plans have been approved. So using this district development model, they can work together, the police and everybody, including communities and also involving traditional leadership. Part of my program, which I've started, is to engage traditional leadership so that they are also involved in finding a solution to these problems.
Let's talk about this lastly. There is a view that part of the government policy to have a certain percentage of projects in an area go to the community, that policy perspective is part of what has created this problem, because now you have even these forums that you're talking about not only demanding what the allocation is, but they want even more than that.
Well, I think we need to distinguish between genuine community member concerns to get involved in local projects, which is their right, actually, to be involved, from pure criminals and criminal syndicates who wield guns and want to take over construction sites and demand a payment. There we need police to act in that regard. And we have examples across the world that if there's a willingness on part of the security forces, if you look at where the headquarters of mafias, which is Italy, December 2019, military police arrested 300 people. Of those, arrested the most notorious, well-notorious mafia gang called Drangheta. Of those 300 people, politicians were involved, police were involved, and if now police and other security establishments work in a coordinated fashion, they can crack this thing. It is doable. But without the cooperation of communities and business themselves in reporting these things and stop paying bribes, those who from our side are paying bribes, they need to stop that. We need what I call a mindset reset so that we can look at this problem differently. I don't think throwing the police at it is going to solve the problem. We need all of us to sit around the table and engage these young men, and they're very bright, by the way.
Webster, we're going to have to leave it there for tonight. Webster Mfebe is the CEO of the South African Forum of Civil Engineering Contractors.